Today, Anabel Rodriguez is going to be presenting, and she's a well-known international educator and leader specialized on inclusion, effective language teaching, women and girl empowerment, and curriculum design. She's an experienced public speaker who has presented at well, not hundreds, lots of conferences, congresses, meetings, webinars, and other special events. In her more than 20 years of experience, she has supported teachers, educational leaders, and project managers in El Salvador and around the world. In 2012, she was granted a Fulbright scholarship to study her master's degree in curriculum and instruction in the United States. During her program, she won the Outstanding International Education Award at Northern Illinois University for her work as an international education advocate. Currently, she teaches Spanish at University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, where she studies her PhD in second language studies. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce some of the words. I did not bring my glasses today. So, Annabelle, with no more introduction, I will stop sharing screen. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And let me start sharing my screen. Okay, I think everybody can see my screen. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
So thank you for the introduction and thank you everybody for being here. I see we have 55 people. That's a lot of people here today. So I'm really excited. So today we're going to be working on this topic, going beyond the textbook, generating authentic tasks for English language learners. And here's my social media. If you want to take a screenshot or something and start following me, I share about my journey as an international student here at Ole Miss, and also some strategies and tips on how to be more effective in our English classes. So today, my agenda is divided into four sections. First, we're going to have a little bit of theory. I'm going to present the framework of task-based learning. And I'm going to show you a sample. And at the end, we're going to have some practice with in groups. We're going to be working on our breakout rooms. Before we start, I want to kind of assess how much you know about task based learning. And I think a video is going to post 3 tasks, A, B, C. So I want you to write in the chat A, B, or C, which one you consider it is one task using the framework of the task-based learning. Do you have it there? Or I can type it.
Will you type it? Because I just got my other screen frozen.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I know technology. It's okay. So this is good. So they are having more time to go and ask Mr. Google or Mr. ChatGPT what are tasks. So let me see. There you have them.
And I can read them too. So the question is, which one is a task? A, describe the picture using some of the phrases below. 2, or B, draw a family tree for your partner's family. C, read the following dialogue. Then practice with a partner. Which of the 3 can be considered a task? A, B, or C?
Okay, some say A, some say B. No one says B, says C. Okay. A, B. Someone says ABC. Okay. Okay, some people say C, B, B. Okay, very good. So the answer is letter B. Why? Why is letter B? Because if you see the first one, it's um, making an emphasis on the language. So when you're thinking about the tasks, they have to have a meaning, and it is more something about real life. So when you are in real life, something that we sometimes do is that when we're asking the students to complete a task is only in present tense. But when we are in real life, we are using different tenses, for example. So the first one, it has this focus on language and it's just very specific. So it is more like a grammar practice. Then we have draw a family tree for your partner's family. So this one implies there is going to be communication. They are going to be asking each other about the family members and they have to complete something. They are going to have a product at the end, which is the family tree. That's why this one applies, or this one is an example of a task. And then the other one is read the following dialogue, practice with a partner. So here the student is not really doing anything. It's just practicing the vocabulary or the pronunciation of the words in the dialogue, but it's not creating anything. And in order for the task to be a task, there should be a product. So in this example, in these three activities, letter B will be the one that is a real task. Okay, very good. So this is a definition, and draw a family tree for your partner's family is the task. And according to Willis, a task is an activity where the target language is used by the learner for a communicative purpose or goal in order to achieve an outcome. The first goal is language fluency, and accuracy comes later. A task is focused on meaning. So the goal of this one is not only it is something that in real life, but also it is something that will have a meaning and it is relevant for the students. And the idea is that they are going to be able to be using the language. Okay. So a little bit about the theory. And we're going to be, I'm going to be talking about 4 things very briefly about how to detect, how to identify, because sometimes we say, okay, I'm having this task in my classroom. And then if we really see it through the lens of task-based learning, they are not really tasks. They are grammatical exercises that we are doing it with, it's an activity, it is a grammar exercise or a grammar practice, but it is not really an authentic task. So first, the criteria, it focuses on meaning. It is a real life situation. So complete this conversation with the correct forms of the verbs. That wouldn't be a task. That is grammar practice. But fill out this form to apply for a scholarship. And the students have to enter their names, the students have to enter their phone number, marital status, etc. So that is a real life situation, and the students are using the vocabulary. And you can use forms like a library form or other types. For example, for level 1, introductions, and they are spelling names, spelling last names. So, and if you see some books, they have that type of tasks. They are using the language, but also it is a real life situation. Have a gap to fill. There is a need. So it is not just that they are giving and receiving information, but there is a purpose. So for example, if they are applying for a membership card, that is the purpose, that the person needs to get that information so they can issue like a library card, or they can issue a diploma or something. Use of resources, linguistic and non-linguistic resources. So the students are not only using their language, listening, speaking, and reading, but they are also using other skills. For example, they might need to go online and research something, or they might need to make a poster. They are going to be working as a team. They are going to be negotiating. So there are other skills and other resources they are using while they are completing this task. It is not just, okay, grammar or vocabulary, and I'm going to be using the words. It is something that is beyond that, and that's why we have beyond the language. Students in these situations, they are not only focusing on the language, and yes, the language is being used, but the language is not the main goal. The main goal is that the students are going to be able to compare something and choose the best product, if either an iPhone or Samsung, or so our students are going to write a review. So in order to write a review about a product, the students need to know the adjectives. They can use superlatives, but that is not the goal. The goal is that they are going to be able to write the review. And then we have different task types. For example, we have listing, ordering and sorting, comparing, problem solving, sharing personal experiences, creative tasks. And for example, listing, something that there is an activity that my professors used to do, and I think it applies for task-based learning. And if you were in an island, what would be 5 items that you will take with you? And you will say like, okay, we're studying vocabulary, but actually you're also thinking, you're also assessing, like, okay, I'm gonna need water because there's no water, or I'm gonna need a purifier so I can purify the water in the island. So this is, there is a need of survival. It is not that like real life, but actually, like if you're planning a trip, what are the things that you will take? So there is this idea that is something that can be possible, or that you're going to be using different resources, not only the linguistics, but also prioritizing needs, etc. And here we have other task types, but let's move on so you have enough time for your practice. Another characteristic is the authenticity. So we have situational, how realistic a task is in terms of its content and aims, and interactional authenticity, how realistic in terms of language use the task is. So if we tell the students, okay, you're in the moon, and in the moon you're eating a hamburger, and so it will be, I know we can be using like the conditionals, like if I were in the moon, and it could be, but it is not really that authentic. So we should be aiming for situations that the students will encounter in case they are moving to another country, or they are working for an international company, or students are traveling. Like at the airport, you need to get um you need to get a taxi, or you need to get around the city. What would you do? And for example, now people do use Uber, so they wouldn't really call for a taxi. That is not very, and so people are more now using apps. So how much interaction is really necessary for the task that we are presenting to the students? And there is a lot of texting now, and even if you call banks or phone services, they have this chat box on WhatsApp. So maybe instead of an oral practice, it can be a text, and they can type like what they will, how they will interact with one of these um, chats, or you change the task. So it is a way that they will be able to interact during the task. And then we have closed and open tasks. We have when there is a single right answer, and for example, students categorize foods using categories such as protein, dairy, or they can be open, that there is no right answer. So for example, students give opinions about a product. And when the students are doing this task, for example, students, you can give students different types of foods, and they create their own a healthy plate. So they have different options, but the options are going to be, there is not a right answer because they can choose different fruits, different vegetables, different proteins, but it is going to be right because they are using all the elements. So those are examples of open tasks. So in order to move to the framework, we have an objective, and something that is very important is that we start with the end in mind. Sometimes teachers start with the grammar in mind, and then the task, they don't complete the task because they are trying to be very accurate in the grammar. They are trying to make the students to focus too much on the grammar that the students are not able to complete the task. This is a this one is based on the communicative approach. So students are going to make mistakes, but also students are going to explore other tenses, and the students are going to explore other areas. So that is going to be very important. So we have the objective, and that is the most important thing, that we understand our objective. And that is what the students are going to present. And our objective is our goal, and it's our product. Then we have the pre-task, the task, and the language focus. There are different researchers that they have the language focus at the beginning, before the task, so you kind of prepare the students grammatically. There are some researchers that they have the language focus at the end, so the students, after they complete the tasks, they are able to reflect on the grammar that they used. And there's not like a right or wrong answer regarding these. So it will be more like how you feel your students are ready for the task. In my case, I am working with a business English class, and I didn't know my students. So, and it is not like basic one or intermediate one, it's just a business English class. So I didn't really know how much language they had. So I decided to do something kind of a sandwich. So I had language focus at the beginning. So I presented like a review of the simple present tense, a review of the past tense, and some vocabulary, like adjectives to describe what they were going to be describing in the task. We completed the task, and then the following week, we did an activity using that content. And I'll show you that in the sample. But the language focus, it depends on how you want to position it. Sometimes it can be before or it can be after. But the main thing of the task-based learning is the task. So that's what should take more of the time of the lesson, the task. And we have to unpack it. So what is a real life situation that I can use with this theme? And let's say family. Okay, what is something that people can do with family? They can introduce family members. They can tell stories about family members. They can show pictures and describe family members. So what are some things that they can do that can be accomplished in real life? Then, in order to do that, what language they need? If they are describing, is it describing something in the past? So they might need past tense. Are they describing plans that they have for the summer with family members? So they might be using future tense. Are they presenting family? So maybe they only need the verb to be and vocabulary about family members. So what is the vocabulary? What is the grammar that the students are going to be using? What will be the process? What is the task? What is the product that you're going to be accomplishing? Do you want them to write a story? Do you want them to find things in common between the families? Like I talk about my family, you talk about your family, and we compare families, which one is bigger, which one is smaller. Your brother is older than my brother, so we can be using adjectives. So those are things that could happen in real life. And so how are we using this language? How are we using this theme in order to accomplish this real life situation or task? So one of the things that I use, and this is more like my personal, this is my personal secret. It's not that it is in the research about task-based learning, but it is my personal secret. because when I was writing objectives, it was very hard for me. And sometimes I will write them like, the teacher reads the story, or the teacher tells the students to, and it was teacher centered, or sometimes it was more like an attack. Students complete the exercise 27, or the exercise B. And that is not an objective. So something that I use in order to make sure that my objectives are effective is that I use the SMART framework. So my objectives are specific because they really say what the students are going to be doing. They are measurable because I can say if the students did it in like what percentage, or like good, very good, excellent, or needs improvement. So I can measure their level of completion. It is achievable because sometimes we have these objectives that is like, this is for a unit, or this is for the whole semester. So my objective is achievable, it is relevant, and it is time bound. So I have a specific time that I'm gonna complete it. So this is one of my secrets in order to make more effective objectives. And this is my other secret. Sometimes my objectives were like a student identifies, and then I had all these lesson plans with identify, and it's like, how can I enrich my objectives? And I enrich my objectives with the Bloom's taxonomy. So I go and say, oh, my student is going to explain, but I know that he needs to identify, but the higher a level of thinking will be understand, and a student is going to be able to explain. A student is going to be able to use. My student is going to be able to compare. My student is going to be able to recommend, or my student is going to be able to design. So there are different levels, and it means that the students are completing each of the levels in order to reach the higher level. And when you have two verbs that you are like, oh, but they are going to do the two things, you have to see, according to the Bloom's taxonomy, which one is at the higher level, and that's the one that you choose for your objectives. So this is my second trick, my tip for you in your objectives. So this is the framework. And we have the pre-task, the task, and the post-task. So in the pre-task, it is when the teacher explains the task. We present the students the instructions, we present the useful words, the phrases, and we help the students to understand, giving examples. We can ask the students to give us some ideas. So we make sure that, okay, this is clear, and students know what they are doing. And after that, we divide it into 3 sections because it is a task. First, the students are doing the task. They work in pairs, they work in groups, because the idea is communication. The idea is that it is meaningful and it is relevant. So they are working together and the teacher is monitoring their work. When they finish the task, they plan. What are they planning? How they are going to report it. Because it is not that, oh, I did this family tree. Okay, now I have to tell the teacher 3 differences about his family tree and my family tree. So that is the reporting, the planning, because the students are working on what they are going to say, and they have to decide on they have to choose a speaker, or each of them is gonna say some sentences, but they are planning what they are going to say. And then at the end, they report it. They present the reports to the class, they exchange written reports, or they can be oral, or they can say 1 sentence, 2 sentences, but they say something about the task that they completed. And then we have kind of a post-task where the students share about their experiences, what they learned, what they like the most. And generally, in this small moment in the process, in the framework, we don't really highlight the grammar, because the grammar goes in the language focus. So this one is more about the experience. Okay, so we are talking about the we're comparing Samsung and iPhone, and which one would you like to purchase if you had the money? Or let's plan a trip to Japan. What places do you want to go? Or find something that I used with my tourism students was, okay, you have $3,000 and we're going to Disneyland. Find me the most expensive hotels and the activities and everything. So they went crazy and they were like, teacher, we need more money. And I was like, so you have unlimited money. And then they were looking for the places, and then they were like, oh, I didn't know there was a bus. I didn't know there was a train. I didn't know this. Oh, there is a resort next to the next to the Disneyland, and if you purchase these, you get the tickets for this. So they learned a lot of things that were not really related to the language, but it is related to the task. So in this little moment for the post task, students are going to exchange about their experience. And they can also say, like, teacher, we didn't understand that you wanted us to write a presentation. Because sometimes, like you say, okay, you're going to work on this and then you're going to present it, but you don't say you need a PowerPoint. And then everybody has a PowerPoint, and the students are like, teacher, we didn't make a PowerPoint. And sometimes I didn't really need I didn't really need a PowerPoint, but some people wanted to go visual. So I tell them, don't worry, I didn't ask for a PowerPoint, so you don't need a PowerPoint. You can just share it. So in this post task, it can also help us feedback for the task. Okay. Then we focus on the language, and then this one is divided into sections: analysis and practice. So analysis, we examine and discuss the specific features of the text or transcript or of the recording. So either the grammar, either the structure, the type of language, it depends on what you're focusing on. And then the practice, and the teacher conducts practice of the new words, phrases, and patterns occurring in the data, either during or after the analysis. So my example, I'm going to show you my sample for business English. And I was asked to deliver this course on business English. And I do have experience on business English, but I didn't know the level of the students. So I tried to design a course in a way that it could fit any levels for the students. And I could provide different like grammatical support in the platform, because this one is online, in the platform. So students who didn't have an advanced English level, they could go and get the support. So in the focus of language, because I did it before the lesson, because I didn't know how much language they knew, my objective was that they were going to compare LinkedIn profiles to identify best practices. Sorry for the correctors. It always does that. Like, it changes the words, but it says best practices there. So we analyzed the present, the simple past tense. We introduced adjectives to describe profiles, comparatives. So it was just kind of like reviewing things before students started the task. And I had the students complete some filling the gap exercises. They created sample sentences, and they watched some videos comparing, like, giving best practices. So with this knowledge, students then were able to work on the task. So I I presented my LinkedIn profile. So if you want to add me, I already gave you my link, my LinkedIn profile. And I asked them to look for, each of them was going to look for one famous business person. And then they were going to share what they had. And after they had reviewed all of them, they were going to give us the best practices in the classroom. Then in the task, the students showed each of their LinkedIn profiles. They searched online for best practices and compared them. Like, okay, yeah, they say that the picture should be this way, and he has the picture, like the example in the article or something, and then they compared all the profiles because they were going to pick only one from the 5 profiles they had that represented all the best practices that they were highlighting, and they posted it. Then they planned, and the students what they delivered was that they were going to post in the forum. So I had an online forum, and the students wrote their 5 best practices, and they wrote the link. They added the link for that profile. And then at the end, they reported, and they reported it in the forum, and also they replied to their classmates. So that was my way of working the task, and it was kind of hybrid because it was interacting while they were in the breakout rooms, but also they did it by text when they were working in the platform. And then the students discussed about what they had learned and what were the most useful tips that they read. So that was very interesting because they are also building their professional profile. So then I focused on language, and the following week, I asked them to go again and look for those links for the LinkedIn profiles that they had, and that they were only gonna pick 2 and they were gonna compare them. So they wrote some sentences, like which profile picture looked more professional, what LinkedIn profile showed more experience, and they were using more, and they were using all these comparatives. And then students practice the new business English words and phrases to write comparisons among the profiles, and then they said them orally. So one person showed the screen, and the other person compare the profiles, write the sentences. So now you're going to go to your breakout rooms, and I'm giving you a theme, and it is food. So in your groups, I want you to think about 3 tasks that you could implement in your classroom, and your theme is food. Okay. And you can decide if it is basic level, if it is advanced level, and resources that you need, the language, etc. But think about 3 tasks. Don't make it too complicated. If it is something that you have already done, that will be perfect. So you just share it, and everybody's going to say, yes, that one. But if you can come up with 1, that will be great. But if you can have 3, or 3 people can share, that will be amazing. So Ovid is going to help me with my breakout rooms.
Yeah, actually, Alexia is
Alexia.
going to help us.
Yes.
Just a little thing before we go into our breakout rooms. This time we're giving a little bit more than 7 minutes, and it is because of the complexity of the task. Once we come back, we're going to have 5 minutes for you to share. So, get ready to give us a little tour on what you were thinking of during the breakout rooms. Um,
Okay.
Alexia?
Yes. So you need 10 minutes or 15 minutes?
10 minutes will be enough.
Okay, people, a message is going to appear on your screen. Please accept it. And the breakout room are
Resume the recording. So yeah, I hope you had a wonderful time there sharing with your colleagues on ideas on how to promote tasks in your EFI classroom. If you did, we will have a special space here for you to share, but I put it on Annabelle's lead, so there you go.
Yeah, if I would like people to put it on the chat, like if you can write your breakout room, if it was number 1, number 2, or just the names of the members of the group, if you remember them, and 1 or 2 of the tasks that you discussed. And then we're gonna open we only have like 5 minutes, so you're gonna have like a minute if you wanna discuss. So 5 lucky people will have 1 minute to discuss. So you can put it in the chat, or if you feel like you want to share that it was okay, I want everybody to know this. You can raise your hand, and we can see your participation. We can see you in the list. Okay, group number 1 already have it. Recipe. Okay, and for family members, favorite foods. Okay, good. And describe a healthy diet. Good. Follow a simple recipe. Mm-hmm. Nice. A role play. And Eduardo, that role play, is it about like ordering food or okay, writing a
Yes,
recipe?
yes.
Okay, nice.
Can I share it with you?
Sure.
We were planning, and
But let
well,
me, because we're gonna have
oh,
1 minute per person, so let me.
okay.
Chan chan. Sorry for
All
the
right,
additional
thank you.
stress. Go
All
ahead.
right, I will try to do it quickly. I'm sorry for the mistake, all right? But I will be like running. In the first part, we were thinking to develop, as you said, that in the pre-task, we need to give the students the time to choose some words or to highlight some vocabulary. And they are going to do that inside of the classroom. They will be working with the vocabulary related to food. In the second part, they are going to work in pairs. In the task, they are going to be working in pairs, and they are going to develop a short role play. One of the students is going to be the customer, and the other one is going to be the waiter or the waitress. And the teacher will be monitoring, and after that, the report. The students are going to develop the role play, and the teacher will give them feedback. And that's all. I think
Woo!
it's okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
perfect. You still have 5 seconds for the clapping.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Good. I don't know if someone else wants to try to do it in 1 minute. Who else is brave as Eduardo?
I could do it in 1 minute.
Edgardo.
Edgardo,
Edgardo raised
and
his
then
hand.
we had someone else, Edgardo and Reina. Okay, Edgardo, ready?
Yep.
Okay, let me go here. 3, 2, 1, action.
All right. Actually, the idea that we got is to have students like work on a recipe, but not from the same country. I mean, food from different countries, so that they, got to know about the food from different countries, also about the prices, the taste, which food is more delicious, more expensive. And so they get to know not only about the food, but also about the culture at the same time, so they can work together. If it is a virtual class, it is pretty cool because imagine if you have students from Guatemala, Costa Rica, Peru, so you can share with those classmates. And if it is in a face-to-face class, it is great because you have the opportunity to bring the food to the classroom. So you can present that, you can eat, you can taste the food, and also you can use the language to talk about the food.
Oh, you have 10 seconds for clapping. Good. Very good. And I love it because it also raises this cultural awareness is very important because sometimes we don't think about people from different countries, different cultures. Like I had a friend and he had I gave him a sandwich and he was like, does it have pork? Because it felt like ham. It's like, not turkey ham. He's like, oh yeah, because I'm Muslim and I cannot eat pork. I was like, I didn't know that. And so this cultural awareness is important. So I like it. I like it. And I think Reina was next, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the idea that we were thinking about, or we were talking about, it was an activity based on a short recipe. But the focus of this recipe is just to the main focus is the sequence adverbs. So as you know, in a recipe, you follow first do this, then do that, etc., etc. So the idea was for students to learn the steps of a very basic recipe, just for them to understand how to use the sequence adverbs to follow steps. And in order to do this, when I did this activity, I used a short recipe from a famous Elvis Presley peanut and butter sandwich. And it was interesting as well because we did a little bit of research on the music, on Elvis Presley music, and learn a little bit more about him. And yeah.
Okay, 2 seconds for the claps.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah. And actually, cultural fact. I am in Oxford, and the neighboring city is Tupelo, and that's the birthplace of Elvis Presley. And I already
Oh, that's
went to
awesome.
his house. It's a very small house. It is just 2-room house, but it's very like moving to see where he started and where he went.
Absolutely, yeah. Like including things like music and other cultural cultural aspects, I think it makes it more dynamic, and it gives that I don't know, like entertaining part of learning a language. And I remember that when we were doing this activity, well, the kids were doing the sandwich and they were explaining the steps and using the sequence adverbs, I was playing like on the background. I played some of Elvis Presley music just to kind of like give that vibe. So yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, and the grammar is kind of hidden. It's like when you
Yes,
give
exactly.
the kids like a pill, but inside a sandwich. So
Yeah,
they are like,
yeah,
"Ah," and then they eat it.
yeah.
Okay, Ovidio?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Annabelle, for leading this discussion. And also thank you guys, thank you everybody for joining the session today. Before we finish up, just let me say once again, thank you, Annabelle, for putting all of this together. I know it takes a lot of time.